When I first met Emily, I thought fate had finally smiled on me. She had this spark, bright, magnetic, impossible to ignore. She laughed with her whole soul, the kind of laugh that made everyone in the room look over just to share in it. Our early years were magic, road trips that turned into adventures, late night talks about kids and dream houses, promises whispered under the stars, the kind of love story you believe could never break. And when she walked down the aisle in her white dress, her eyes locked on mine, I swore to myself, this is it. This is forever. But forever. Forever didn't last. At first, the cracks were invisible. She grew distant. Her smile felt rehearsed. Her phone became her second skin. Always face down. Always locked. Late nights at the office turned into the new normal. And every time I asked, she had excuses polished and ready. I wanted to believe her. God, I needed to believe her. Because the alternative meant my entire world wasn't what I thought it was. But your gut never lies. And mine was screaming. The truth didn't creep up on me. It slammed into me like a car crash. One evening, I grabbed her laptop just to send a quick email. No snooping, no digging, but the screen lit up with an open chat window. And there it was. Words that shredded my heart before I could even breathe. Desire, passion, can't wait to see you again. And the name on. The screen wasn't mine. My hands shook as I scrolled. Further. Pictures, plans, memories she had created with another man while lying beside me at night. This wasn't some harmless flirtation. She had built a second life, one I was never meant to see. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She didn't fight, didn't beg. She just cried because she got caught. She said words that will haunt me forever. I couldn't help how I felt. I wanted more passion, more excitement, passion, excitement, as if commitment and respect meant nothing, as if vows were disposable. That night at the dinner table, her plate untouched, her wedding ring twisting nervously on her finger, was the moment I realized my marriage was already dead. Why, Emily? I asked. My voice cracked, shaking with disbelief. Why would you throw it all away? Everything we built. For him, she whispered. I didn't plan it. I didn't mean for it to happen. I leaned forward, my hands trembling, rage boiling in my chest. You didn't mean for it to happen. Emily, every text, every meeting, every time you came home and lied, you chose this. You didn't trip and fall into betrayal. You walked into it, eyes wide open. Her sobs filled the silence. But for me, it was the silence of realization. The woman I married no longer existed. That night, I packed a bag. No screaming, no slamming doors, just quiet steps. And as I closed the door behind me, it felt like I wasn't just leaving a house. I was leaving a version of myself that still believed in her lies. The divorce came quickly. She didn't even fight it. Maybe because she knew, deep down, that she had already lost me the moment she chose someone else. But leaving her wasn't the end of the pain. Oh no, the real torment came after. Nights in a tiny rented apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory. Was I not enough? Did I fail her somehow? Could I have done something different? Those questions poisoned me, until my best friend Mark finally knocked some sense into me. He showed up one night, dropped a six-pack on the table, and looked me dead in the eye. You've got to stop blaming yourself, he said. She cheated. That's on her. She could have talked to you. She could have been honest. But she chose betrayal. That's not love. That's selfishness. His words hit harder than I expected. And for the first time, I felt the faintest spark of freedom. Weeks later, fate threw me one last cruel twist. I bumped into Emily at the grocery store. She looked worn down, thinner, her eyes tired. She forced a smile, like seeing me was a relief. I'm sorry, she whispered, clutching her basket like it was all she had left. I looked at her for a long moment. This was the woman I once thought would be my forever. Now, she was just a painful memory. I don't hate you. I said. "But I'll never forgive you. You didn't just betray me. You destroyed us. And nothing you say will ever bring that back." Her tears welled up. But I didn't stay to see them fall. I turned and walked away. And for the first time since leaving her, I felt light. I felt free. Months turned into a year. The sharp pain dulled into scars. I rebuilt myself. I worked harder. Traveled to places Emily never wanted to go. Reconnected with friends I had neglected. And somewhere along the way, I realized something important. Emily's betrayal wasn't the end of me. It was the end of us. And here's where the revenge comes in. Not the screaming, not the chaos. No, my revenge was quiet. My revenge was living well. Because every time Emily saw me move forward, whether through mutual friends or those inevitable accidental encounters, she saw a version of me she could never have again. Her forbidden desires destroyed our marriage, but they didn't destroy me. That, in the end, was the sweetest justice of all. Betrayal doesn't always end with fireworks. Sometimes, the real revenge is becoming someone stronger, someone better, without the person who tore you down. Emily once told me I was her forever, but forever ended the moment she chose someone else. Time has a funny way of healing, but it also has a way of teaching. The first year after Emily, I focused on survival. The second year, I focused on growth. By the third, I was thriving in ways I never imagined. Work became more than just a paycheck. It became my purpose. I poured every ounce of pain and betrayal into building something for myself. Late nights that used to be filled with questions about where Emily was were now filled with strategy meetings, new projects, and travel to places I had once only dreamed of. And slowly, success came knocking. Promotions, recognition, a team that respected me. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I had control again. But the real turning point, the day I met Claire. Claire was nothing like Emily. And maybe that's why she was exactly what I needed. She was calm where Emily was chaotic, honest where Emily had been deceptive, steady where Emily had been restless. She didn't dazzle me with grand promises. Instead, she showed up every day with consistency, with kindness, with a loyalty I had almost forgotten existed. With Claire, I learned to laugh again, to trust again, to believe that maybe love wasn't a trap waiting to snap shut. And that's when fate decided to twist the knife one last time. One evening, Claire and I were out at a nice restaurant. Nothing fancy, just a quiet dinner after a long week. We were seated near the window when I heard a voice I hadn't expected to ever hear again. "Emily," she walked in. Her arm looped through a man's, the same man from those chat messages. But they didn't look like the passionate lovers she had once described. They looked tired, drained, like two people holding on to something they already knew was broken. Her eyes landed on me, and for a split second, she froze. Her expression was unreadable. Shock, maybe regret, maybe envy. But Claire leaned across the table, laughing at something I had just said, her hand resting gently on mine. And in that moment, I realized something. This was my revenge, not shouting across the restaurant, not exposing her, not even acknowledging her. My revenge was sitting there with a woman who truly valued me, while Emily was stuck living with the consequences of her own choices. She had traded forever for passion, and passion fades. What remains is trust, respect, and love. The very thing she threw away. I caught her staring, and for a brief second, our eyes locked. I didn't smile. I didn't frown. I simply looked at her the way you'd look at a stranger walking by on the street. Because that's what she was now, a stranger. She looked down quickly, her face flushed, and I turned back to Claire, letting that chapter finally truly close. Years have passed since then. Emily is nothing more than a scar, a reminder of what betrayal costs. And me, I have a life I never would have built. if she hadn't destroyed the old one. So if you're listening to this, if you've been betrayed, let me tell you, revenge doesn't always mean dramatic explosions or payback schemes. Sometimes the best revenge is simple. Building a life so full of love, respect, and happiness that the person who wronged you can only watch from the sidelines, wishing they hadn't let you go. Because in the end, Emily was right about one thing. Forever did end, but not for me, for her. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories of betrayal, justice, and redemption. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't anger. It's living free.